Hello, friends, and welcome to Move Into Coherence. Happy New Year. Happy 2024. My motto this year is there's so much more in 24. So that's what we're about this year. Thanks for your patience this morning. My internet was problematic, but I trusted that things were going to work out, and they did, and here we are. So thanks for being here. In today's episode, we will be talking about the ability to trust. And this can be a challenge, but we're going to talk about how to rebuild that, and especially in the body. Because as we have been learning, the body keeps the score. The body knows how to heal itself, and we can support that. So let's get into it. We'll start with our 3 bells, and then we'll move into waking and shaking, and then we'll do the learning and the experiencing of this wonderful motion today called whole body breathing. So here's our 3 bells. And we let them ring to completion. All right. I feel it's important for us to do a little heart coherence. So let's do that first, and then we'll do our waking and shaking. So just take a moment to drop into your heart, and you can bring your hand to your heart area if that is helpful for you. And then we'll slow the breathing down a little slower and a little deeper than usual. And we can say 5.5 seconds in and 5.5 seconds out. That was what the Heart Math Institute studies found was ideal, but we don't need to be that precise. I was just being funny. But 5 or 6 seconds in, 5 or 6 seconds out with the breath through the nose. And if you have your eyes closed, that may help you to become a little more aware of the body. And then imagine that the breath is flowing in and out through the heart. Five or 6 seconds in, 5 or 6 seconds out through the heart. And then bringing to mind something that helps you to feel gratitude or appreciation. And I'm feeling gratitude and appreciation for there being an audience with me today. Hmm. And then over the next couple of breaths, let yourself come back to your natural rate of breathing, and you can relax your hand and open your eyes to a soft gaze. All right. So let's go ahead and do our waking and shaking. This is our three-part motion. Please come to standing and join in. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining in. So with our waking and shaking, we start with the first motion, which is waking up. And we'll start by having the feet lined up with the shoulders, and then we'll begin. So the knees are going to bend and come in towards one another. The arms will bend so the hands come up towards the shoulders. You round your back by pulling in your belly, drop your head, and get small. Get round. And then slowly, as you breathe in, you can let your legs and belly and back and arms get long. Reach up, look up, tip your head up. And then exhale and let your arms float down by your sides. And take a break, take a breath. Notice what's letting go, turning off all your efforts in between each motion. And we'll do that again. The knees bend, they come in towards one another, the elbows bend, the back rounds, your head drops down, you get small and round, and then slowly let the legs and the arms and the belly and the back get long, reach up, look up, and then let your arms float down by your sides. And again, notice what's different. And now we'll do the second part of the motion. We'll do the tongue. The tongue is to help to relax the digestive tract. So if you can, sense in now and just see what's going on in there. Maybe there are not very many sensations. Maybe you're feeling any kind of constriction in the whole digestive tract. It's a long thing. It's about 33 feet long for the average human. So it's a lot of stuff in there that can get tight. So by doing the tongue, by releasing the tension in the tongue, we can soften the entire digestive tract. Let's go ahead and try this together and see if you notice any changes. We'll press the tip of the tongue to the center of the roof of the mouth, press it gently up, and then slowly over about 5 seconds, relax and soften the tongue all the way down to the root of the tongue. And it may help you to have your eyes closed to get more information from the body. And then just notice how you feel in the digestive tract. And now we'll do the final part of waking and shaking, which is called a quick shake. And in this one, again, the feet are about in line with the shoulders and knees are soft. And we're going to start by wagging our tail like a happy dog. That's our tailbone, our coccyx, lowest part of the spine. And we'll shake that gently and let the arms and the legs be wiggly. And let that wiggle come into the spine and even the head. Breathing as you go. I know it looks silly, and I do appreciate you joining in. Thank you so much. And then let the wiggle move all the way up the spine to the crown of the head, and then pause here and loose lips motorboat sound. And we'll pause and notice any sensations that you are registering. I'm feeling some tingling. This is the way I like to describe it. It's our aliveness. I like to feel that feeling. So I do the quick shake from time to time as I'm doing my computer work and things, and helps me to come back to that feeling. All right. So in today's episode, I was saying that what we're talking about today is trust. Now, trust is it can be challenging, especially if you've had betrayal. And we can rebuild trust with a person that has done that. But it also, there's a level of trust that I feel is important to say, especially with a betrayal, that there is a part of it that we can call discernment. Discernment means that we have had the opportunity to see this works and this doesn't work. So we're kind of sorting, right? This I like this or I don't like this over here and I do like this over here. So we can discern between what feels good to us, and this is where getting into the body and knowing how the body feels and the sensations of what pleasant sensations feel like. And that's what we're doing here in these motions, is finding those pleasant sensations in the body so we can have the message of this feels okay. And we practice okayness, and finding the good was one of the lessons we did recently. This is an ongoing practice where we can do this regularly. But by having the discernment, this doesn't actually feel so good, right, over here. Now we can learn who to trust and how far to trust. But there does need to be a little bit of the feeling of knowing that what you're trusting is right. And this is where we can really focus inward on the body and knowing our body's on our team. We talked about this before, that the body knows what to do. Sometimes it gets stuck in a trauma response, and that's why we're releasing these responses so that we can actually know that the message that we're getting is legitimate and it's not based on a trauma response. It's based on something that there's real here. It's real here. We really do feel it. I'm thinking back to a time when I learned the process called BASE, BASE. It is body work and somatic education. This is a hands-on practice, and it requires that we bring our awareness into a person, into their body, and we notice what we're noticing. We're paying attention to the subtle sensations that we can feel by bringing our attention inward. And at the beginning of this process, I feel that a lot of people were wondering, am I really feeling this? Is this real? Or is it just in my imagination? And our instructor said, trust. Just trust it. Trust that the information that you're getting is real and go with that. And then you'll get confirmation by doing this with people and asking them, well, what are you noticing? And when they say, oh, I've noticed that I feel softer now, I feel different. And that's because, what you're giving them, the attention, the attention and the awareness that you're giving them, the body's responding to that. And there's softening that can happen. Sometimes there's little quivers or tremors that happen. And this is the trauma response releasing. So trust was what he said. And I started doing that. I started saying, well, maybe it's in my imagination, but I'm just going to trust it. And fortunately, the way that worked for me, it worked so well that I felt I was one of the, it was easier for me than most of the other students. And he invited me to be his assistant at some trainings. And that's when I got to go to Japan and so forth. Yeah, really nice opportunities. But the awareness piece and trusting that what I was sensing was real was a key ingredient. And this is what I teach my apprentices when we're learning these things and we're sensing inward into someone else. Trust that the information you're receiving is real. And I've also been trained as a medical intuitive, which allows me to get information. And this is where it gets a little bit like outside of my scientific understanding, because I don't really know who these beings are, but I can ask for some guidance. And the guidance that I receive oftentimes are sensations in the body. Sometimes I hear words. And this information, when I pass it on to a client, they'll say, "Oh, wow, that really resonates." And so then I get validation that there's something that I'm receiving. So even in this realm that I'm kind of like, I don't really understand how it works, but I'm trusting it, and I get information and I get support from these other realms. And the best way I can explain that in terms of the science of that is that what we understand in the realm of quantum physics is there is no time. Time is just a big smear. It exists, the past and the future and the present, all of it exists at once. Everything that ever was and will be is here. So when and Nassim Haramein, who studies physics and has written a big paper recently about it, talks about the inside of a black hole containing all this information. So where does that information go? He's saying that it's inside the black hole. So it's kind of lining the hole and all the data is there. So when I reach out and ask for some guidance, that information is there. The quantum field contains it all. And so I'm just getting precise. I'm kind of tuning my radio dial to receive that. And this requires trust. So that's why I feel it's important for us as we're moving into coherence, we're finding our best selves, our highest selves, that part of that is intuition and knowing that the way that I feel about something, that's giving me a message and I can listen to it. As long as we are able to fully trust, we can support ourselves by using that intuition. This is a valuable part of becoming yourself as a full human because sometimes decisions aren't based on the pros and the cons. I remember when I was younger, my mother would say, draw a list, make a list of the pros and the cons. And sometimes that's very helpful in the logical brain, but then there's a heart part that we kind of skip. So the intuition is where we can get decisions easily made. So this talk about trust too is it relates to our body makes beautiful chemistry for ourselves to feel certain ways and to perform certain functions. And one of those chemicals is oxytocin. Oxytocin is a molecule that has been associated with the feeling of bonding, connecting. And this can be connecting to yourself. You can even give yourself a self hug, and that creates oxytocin. You can also imagine a hug from someone else, and that creates oxytocin. So it is a feeling of, bonding and love. So some people call it the love molecule or the bonding molecule. Now, what's really great about oxytocin, besides all of the wonderful qualities that it has as itself, it's also very important as a cofactor in absorbing dopamine. So it helps with the uptake of dopamine in the body. Dopamine is the risk reward molecule, and this happens with addiction. It happens when you play a video game. It happens when you put yourself on the growing edge of yourself and try new things. Dopamine is what we get. But if our bodies don't take it up and use it, it's kind of wasted and we don't really get the benefit of it. So with oxytocin, however, what we're doing is we're allowing that dopamine to be taken in and to actually support the body. And dopamine has been associated with a lot of neurological malfunctions like Parkinson's and so forth. So we want the dopamine to work. We need oxytocin to make that work. And trust is one of the pieces that helps us to make oxytocin. And this is our mastery of self. When we make that oxytocin, we feel like we are in charge, excuse me, of what we're doing. And that is mastery. One of the places that we can put our trust, and this really helps me a lot, is knowing that there is a particular nature of life. The nature of life is life always, and that's an underlined, capitalized exclamation points, always seeking more life. As we have learned, the germ, let's call it not even theory, but hypothesis, has been debunked. We know that there has never been a study to show that contagions are attacking us, that particles are attacking us. That's never been proven, and we can't bring them to anyone else. We've talked about this a couple of different episodes, so I suggest that you listen back, and there's a lot of resources about this. I'm not making this up. But that germ hypothesis does not follow the nature of life. It's saying that there's something attacking us and it wants to kill us and it wants to eat us up. That's not what's happening. The body is responding to the environment and making bacteria and making fungus and mold and cancer cells so that we can keep our body in homeostasis, always seeking more life. That's the nature of life. That's the nature of the universe. It's continually growing. A part of that cycle is that things need to break down so that we can have new materials to come back into the system. And that's the nature of life. So we can trust that. And that leads us into trusting, well, the body is ever seeking more life, always seeking more life. And so when we feel a certain way, we can trust. We can say, oh, that's a healing process. Thank you for that. Thanks for taking care of me. I'm going to support you in doing that by drinking good, clean water, by standing on the earth barefoot, by getting sunlight in the eyes, eating good food, having a good mood, doing practices that help you to de-stress and to release tension in the body. All of these things can help to support the body's healing processes. One of the things that we have done already is called receiving hands. And I wanted to review that because receiving hands is the beginning of trust. Knowing that when I do this small gesture with my hands, I'm actually sending a signal. This is a neurological reflex. It's a gift for us that tells us my three basic human needs are met. And those three basic human needs are safety, satisfaction, and connection. So let's do receiving hands together to remember our basic needs are met. In this moment, I can feel safety, I can feel satisfaction, I can feel connection. It's a very simple gesture. Infants do it. If you have the opportunity to watch an infant nursing, you'll see this. The hands close into soft fists, and you're going to start with the pinky first. So we drop the pinky, the ring, middle, and index, and then just relax the thumb against the index finger and hold it here. And you can even say in your mind or out loud, I have all my basic needs met. Let's try that again. Pinky, ring, middle, index. I'm safe, satisfied, and connected. Just let yourself feel that. And when we practice this, this gets at the very youngest parts of ourselves. Very important if we've had any kind of childhood trauma that we know about. and also traumas that we may not even know about, or things that have happened in utero and even before we were part of the system of the mother's body. And this brings me to thinking about something that I really wanted to share with you. If you're trying to understand, why do I feel so lost? Well, one of the things that can contribute to that is the environment of the uterus is there for us to thrive in. Now, if the mother has just previously to our pregnancy being in there, if she has just had a miscarriage or a stillbirth, the uterus is now an environment that is got fear and worry and trepidation about, is this going to happen again? So you may look in your life and ask your mother, was there a miscarriage or a stillbirth or anything right before the pregnancy with me? And, it really does help to explain a lot for people. I have found that this is helpful information. What do we do with that information? Well, this is where working in a private session with me can really help, because we can do is go to the birthing reflex and give you a chance to start over again. It's a very cool process. It is doesn't take a lot of time, and when the body's ready, it's ready, and we can do this. So that's a place where we can release the fear of being here on the planet. So if you have that for yourself, it's at least an understanding, and the more we understand, the easier life can be. So receiving hands is a great way to start, because that is telling us our basic human needs are met. Another thing that we can trust, so we've talked about the nature of life, we can trust that. We can trust this neurological reflex. We can trust also that there are 3 basic human rights, and this is important for us to remember. They cannot be taken away. They cannot be assigned. They're here, and they're for all of us. They are being, you have the right to be, belonging, or sorry, I put them in order. Being, becoming, and that's what we're doing here in this podcast, is we are becoming our greatest and highest self. And then the third one is belonging. These are our 3 basic human rights. We can trust that. And if there is something that is disallowing that, then we need to step away. We need to get out of there and say, no, I have the right to be. I have the right to become, and I have the right to belong. So these are also things that we can put our trust in. We can also trust that there is a process of life. And this is something that Wilhelm Reich worked out in his experimental studies using bions. And we talked about bions being these small particles that are inside of us. And again, one of my good friends, who's a cell biologist and runs a lab, she found them too. So this is real. And they change their shape based on the environment, and they help to keep life going. What he noticed, Wilhelm Reich noticed, is there's an equation of life, or a cycle. We have some tension, which creates charge, and then that charge helps us to function. And what I mean by tension is it can be a really good feeling. It can also be some tightness, and we need some constriction. It's not that we have to be completely loose all the time. Here's a pause, and talking about this is the peristalsis. That is how our digestive tract works. And it works kind of like an inchworm. There's constriction and kind of pushing, and then release of that constriction and another constriction down the tube. And it just kind of goes like this, like an inchworm. And that helps to move our food and waste through the body. So we do need constriction so that we can have this movement. So anyway, when we get tension, we get a charge. The charge is what we run on. We run on electricity. And then there's a discharge, and that's a really important part, is to allow the discharge. When we get stuck in the constriction, the discharge isn't allowing, not being allowed, and so we don't have the full expression of life. So the discharge happens, and then we can have relaxation. So this is what happens when we release trauma, when we have a trauma response that's resolved. We will have some discharge. The body will sometimes tremor, it will shake, it will jiggle, it'll have some sort of sparkly feeling, maybe electrical, and you'll feel the discharge and then afterwards relaxation. So I see people yawning, I hear gurgling guts and the movement of the peristalsis. That is the relaxation after the discharge. So this cycle, that's a process that happens. That's how life comes to be and how the circle of life goes. We can trust that as well. We can also trust that there are things happening for us out in the universe, in this field that we live in. Everything's connected, as you know. We're connected to ourselves and others and the planet and the galaxy and on and on. We're connected here so that when we start noticing that things time out very nicely for us, like, oh, I just saw that person I was thinking about, or I just got a call from someone that I was intending to call. We notice these synchronicities because we are connected. And when you feel into that, and when you know, gosh, I guess I really am connected to it all as I'm thinking and feeling and sensing these things, synchronicities are happening. When I focus on myself being grand in the world and affecting change for myself and others, where I'm putting my focus on my highest self and also serving others, I'm now part of all of it. I will notice more synchronicities happening. And so we can trust that that is also happening. We can also trust that there are two parts of ourselves. There's a part of us, and this is, again, what's really cool about the brain, is there's a part of us that is about self. It's about taking care of the self, it's self-preservation, self, me, right? That's one part. Another part is thinking about other people, wondering, how do they feel? Are they going to be okay if I do this? Are they going to like me if I do this? Like thinking about other. So we can get stuck in one place, in the self place, and that's labeled as narcissistic tendencies or personality disorder, where it's only about self and other is excluded. We can also be in the other is more important than self. And so we get self-sabotage and we get, lack of self-esteem and all of that. So we need to realize we are both, and there's not a battle between them. If there is a battle, in other words, if I say, oh, if I reach out to other, they're going to hurt me. Well, that's a battle. That's saying I don't need that, but we're interdependent. We are a social species. We do need each other. We need help sometimes. We need support. We need love. We need care. We need that. So we do need other. We can't do without. I mean, just think about, what you ate for breakfast this morning. You didn't do all of that. Somebody farmed the products, somebody brought this product here, and the stores and the trains and the trucks and all the things that had to happen. So totally we are interdependent. So this knowing that there's a self and there's other, and that's a combination. We have both. And this is what I was saying about the brain. There's the insula, which registers both when we are focusing on self and when we are focusing on other. So it makes sense to me that obviously, if the brain only has one area that does both things, they are meant to be together. So we can trust that as well. So when we start wondering about duality and we start wondering about the right and the wrong and the right and the left and the good and the bad and the evil and blah, 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 all the duality of nature, we can step above that. We can rise above that and be the observer of that, right? We can be the observer of both the inner and the outer, and the self and the other. That is the way we are designed. That's the way of the universe. And we can trust that as well. So there's a lot of things that we can trust. One of the things that gets challenging, though, is the body. Because when we go into a trauma response, the body will constrict in certain places. Sometimes it will go offline and completely no information is coming in. And these are part of the process of keeping us safe. Believe it or not, it doesn't maybe feel like that when you're stuck there, but that's what the body's trying to do. Again, ever seeking more life. We are trying to keep this place good and safe. And so by constricting in a certain place and keeping that sort of off here, or by having something go offline, we are supporting more life as long as we come out of the trauma response. However, oftentimes we get stuck. And that's what a lot of the work that I do with people is to help to find these stuck places and to help the body release them by supporting the body and the client and loving. There's a lot of love that happens between me and my clients. Not romantic love. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the universal kind of love. Just knowing the beauty of life, the amazingness of life allows me to feel that. When we find that when we check into the body and it's not comfortable, that doesn't feel so good. That's hard to trust the body now. It's like, oh, maybe you're not even on my team. You hurt me. This hurts. Or you're not even here. You're dissociated. I don't even feel you. That would be hard to trust. That makes sense. So we want to get out of the trauma response. We got to get out of these stuck places so that we can really feel that our body is on our team and we can, be a good teammate with that. So that's, again, why we want to release these stuck places so that we are free to trust the body, to trust the intuition that the body provides, and trust life is always seeking more life. These are important, really important parts of being here. And so we're going to do a small motion first, and I just want you to try this with me, because in the neurological information, the occiput, so the back of the head has kind of a ridge right above where the neck and the head come together. There's a ridge here at the back of the head. That's called the occiput or the occipital ridge. If we put a palm there, and you can use either hand, just bring your hand, if you would please join in, bring your hand to your occiput. And just feel the warmth of your hand. Feel the connection between yourself and yourself. Yeah, there you go. And allow yourself to notice what you notice. What I'm noticing is my pelvic floor softening, but I also feel more stable. So there's that soft power. Yeah, feeling connected. And then you can relax the hands. So the occiput, just touching the occiput will allow you to produce oxytocin as well. And that's what we talked about at the beginning, which helps us to feel that sense of loving and connection with self and other. All right, what else do I want to say here? Sometimes we lose trust or we have a loss of trust because we did something that was perhaps unskilled. Okay, we made a mistake. We did something wrong. Maybe it caused some damage to ourselves or to another. That can help us to feel, I'm not sure I can trust myself anymore. So what I would like to do is a teeny little tapping on that so that we can get clear of that. So let's do this together. We're going to use the occiput as one of our holding places. And we're just going to say a few words. So it's kind of like an affirmation. You can put one hand on the occiput and the other hand on the forehead. So we're just holding these two places. There's a lot of acupoints that are coming in here, and you can just hold these two places and take some nice breaths. Yes. And so we'll say, I am not so sure I want to trust myself. You can repeat after me because I've made some mistakes in the past. I regret these mistakes, and I'm not sure that I can trust myself. I did something that I can call unskilled. And I'm open to the possibility that there's a new way of seeing this. I made the best choice that I could in the moment. I did what I felt was right in the moment. And I see now that perhaps that was then and this is now. There's new possibilities for me, new situations for me, where I can learn to trust myself again and release these regrets and be free. Learning to trust my body, myself, and life. And then let's relax the hands. We'll do a small breath in through the nose, a larger breath in, and then a sigh of relief. Yeah. So hopefully that was nice for you. It was nice for me. Sometimes these little niggling thoughts come in and they bother us. And so when we can address them straight on and talk to them using our acupoints, just like we just did there, even a short little brief one can really make a shift for us and allow us to find ease and comfort. That is really the key to all of this working is that we are getting to that discharge slash relaxation phase so that life can keep going. That's what we're after. All right. So now we're going to do the special breath today. It's called whole body breathing. And what I would like to, we're going to do this standing, and I would like for us to do this together, but I want to talk about it first, what we're doing in it, and how it can support this feeling of trust and putting trust in the body. First thing is every single day we breathe 20,000 times. I'm pausing here to have you take that in. Most of those breaths we're not aware of. Most of those breaths are happening for us. This is life, always seeking more life. We don't have to think about breathing. It's happening. It's a beautiful thing. So, what I would love for you to notice when we do this whole body breathing is we're going to do a little pause at the end of the exhale. And in that pause, you're going to wait for the breath to happen. And it will. And that's why I'm inviting us to do this motion so that we can trust, oh, the next breath is coming for me. Nothing I have to do. It's not about deserving it or being worthy. Life always wants more life. The breath is breathing us. And when we relax into that knowing and trust that the next breath is coming for us, we're making oxytocin, the bonding chemical, which helps us to bond with ourselves and others. And it ripples out into the entire field. The feeling of I'm connected to myself, I'm connected to others. We are here together. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to do this 3 cycles of the breath. And what we're doing here is we are raising the arms as we breathe in, and then we are pushing the arms down as we breathe out. So the way this works is on the breath in, the arms are going to be coming. I'm just going to move back here a little bit so you can see. The arms are going to be coming palms up this way towards the ceiling. That's the inhale. And then on the exhale, you're going to turn the palms over so they're facing downward in front of you with the elbows bent. And you're going to bring them in front of you across, right down the front of your chest, away from your body, not on your body, but in front of your chest and down below the belly, and push down with hands so that you are releasing the exhale at the same time. So we're kind of pushing down. Now, this is a breath from Qigong, and we're going to be standing to do this. This is a breath from Qigong, and what they have you imagine is that you are bringing in the information from above, from the heavens, from the universe on the inhale. And then, so we're receiving, right? We did receiving hands earlier. We're receiving all that beautiful information. It's available, past, present, future. It's all there. All the possibilities are there. We're receiving that on the inhale. And then on the exhale, as you're pushing the hands down in front of you, you can imagine that you are releasing anything you no longer need. Maybe regrets, resentment, the feeling of being a victim of betrayal. You're releasing old tendencies and old beliefs. You're releasing tension in the body. You're letting go of old habits and things that you no longer need and that are no longer serving you. And in Qigong, they say, as you push that down, as you exhale, you are dropping that down into the earth for compost. So here we have the cycle of life, right? We're letting go of things we no longer need, putting that into the earth for compost, and compost becomes beautiful soil. So as we release these things and push them down in our imagination, remember the brain doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. As we release these things and push them down into the earth and release them as compost, knowing that they are going to be recycled in new ways and new energies are going to go into other places, you're giving. This is important, I feel, because a lot of times receiving is, can be construed as taking. Receiving is important to know that we have enough that we can now share, we can give. And this is important because if we talked about the duality of nature, and the nature of humans is self and other are both vitally important. They help each other, we help each other, we are interdependent. If I only receive, that's taking. I've also got to give. So this whole body breathing can kind of put that into action, right? I'm receiving and then I'm giving in each breath. So let's try this together, and we'll do this 3 times. We're going to pause at the bottom after the exhale. We're going to pause there. We're going to wait. When does the breath naturally want to come in? And it will. And this is going to create oxytocin, which helps our dopamine work, which helps us to feel connected, rewarded, and so good. And I think that's about what I wanted to say. Yes, so we're trusting in the body. Trust in the body. The body knows what to do. The body is always seeking more life. It's not here to attack us. Nothing is here to attack us. That doesn't make any sense as far as the way life works. Okay, let me pause there and say, however, there are toxins on the planet. There are definitely toxins. There are poisons. But we don't need to add more poisons to our system. So look at your products. Look at the face lotion. Look at the toothpaste. Look at all these things and see what those ingredients are. Maybe there's some toxins there you would like to eliminate and maybe you don't need. So that is one place that we can support our body even more by not bringing those things in. But we can also do things that will help the body to remove those toxins. And again, that's a healing process. The body knows what to do. If you think back to, I think it was the second live episode that I did, we learned about the planaria, which are these flatworms that were exposed to a toxin they had never been living in before, called barium. So the worms are called planaria, or the singular is planarium, and they were exposed to barium. These worms actually ended up thriving in the barium, even though they had never been exposed to it before. It wasn't in their DNA, whatever that is. It wasn't in their DNA to know how to do this process. But life, always seeking more life, made it so that they were able to use the barium. So if you ever wonder, there's so many toxins on the planet, well, think about the Barium Planarium. I like that because it rhymes and it's fun. That even though these toxins exist, our body's going to work it out. It's going to work it out and it's going to figure out how to deal with it. So trust that the body is ever seeking more life. Nothing's out to get you. Just having that notion is going to be really helpful for you. Okay, let's do our motion, whole body breathing. So please come to standing and join in. And I really do appreciate that you are interested in being here with me and doing this together. So you can stand with your feet in line with your shoulders and your knees are soft. And we're going to do 3 full breaths. And After the exhale, we're going to pause and just wait for the breath to naturally come in. That's going to stimulate that feeling of trust. So starting with the arms coming up with the palms facing up as we inhale through the nose. Inhaling up, all the way up, and then exhaling, turn the hands over, pressing the palms down, exhaling, releasing anything you no longer need, down into the earth for compost. Pause here. And then the breath wants to flow in. Let's do it. Inhale. Arms come up, all the way up, palms facing the ceiling, and then turn the hands over, palms down, elbows bent, bringing the hands right down in front of your chest, pushing all the things you no longer need down into the earth for compost. And pause here. Wait for the breath. And again, inhale, palms facing up, arms out in front of you, bringing them all the way up to the ceiling, receiving all the goodness from the universe, and then giving as we exhale, palms facing the floor, exhaling, dropping the arms down, dropping down things you no longer need. Pause. Wait for the breath. And as it wants to come in, let it come in. We're going to breathe that in. Breathing in, arms coming up, up towards the ceiling, receiving all the goodness that's there for us. Turning the hands over on the exhale, palms facing the floor, and pushing down into the earth for compost, anything you no longer need, regrets and worries and fears and distrust and mistrust, all of it gone. And then wait for the breath. And it will come. And it does. And it did. And then we'll come back to our seats again. And we'll take a pause here and just notice. Let's look into ourselves, our sensations. And I'd love to hear if there's anyone that can chat with me. I'd love to hear what it is that you're noticing today, or if there's any questions that you may have, anything that you'd like to chat about, please put that in the chat and let me know. I think that is working today. Yeah, there. I just wrote a little note. I said hello. Is anybody out there? So we did that with the pause, and I'll just talk and maybe somebody will write in or make a comment or a question or just a noticing, something you noticed about today's lesson. Relaxing in mind and body both. Thank you, Kathleen, for sharing that. Yeah, this is that part of Wilhelm Reich's cycle of life. We have to have the relaxation for there to be another cycle. Relaxation is a piece that it's vital. It's vital. And I don't mean relaxing with a glass of wine. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about fully in the body relaxing, not getting numb to it. I realize that a lot of times people say, I'm having a tough day, so I'm going to drink. Well, that numbs out the not so good. Okay. But then also, let's celebrate. I'm going to drink. Now you're numbed out to the good. So we're kind of, we're in a place where celebration turns into dissociation. And so anyway, yeah, if we can find relaxation by doing motions like this and allowing ourselves to feel really good. So thanks for the comment. I appreciate you, Kathleen. So I think that is what I have for you today. Remembering that trust comes from knowing that there are some really basic truths, like life always seeks more life, like the cycle of life, that there is increase of tension and then charge and discharge and relaxation, and that allows for more life to flow. We've got to have both the tension and the relaxation to create that life. We can trust our intuition when we are out of the trauma response. We can trust that our bodies are always trying to keep us healthy. And so a symptom, the interpretation of the symptom, instead of it being something has gotten me, we can look at it as our body is healing itself. This is a very helpful way to trust the body. We can trust that there is a, a basic human right, 3 basic human rights of being, becoming, and belonging. These are our basic human rights. We can trust that. We can trust that receiving hands lets us know I'm safe, I'm satisfied, I'm connected. We can trust that the breath is happening for us 20,000 times a day. Nothing we have to deserve or that feel worthy or have value to receive that. That's happening. We can trust that when we receive, there is something to give. So by allowing ourselves to receive these pleasant sensations, to receive the relaxation, to really feel that, like we did with our hands and the breath, we received all the goodness from the universe, that we can give. And we can give the things we don't need. We can give goodness to others as well. We can help them feel better. And we rise together, right? The high tide raises all boats thing. So let your light shine. Here's 2024. There's so much more in 2024. That's my motto for this year. Let your light shine. Let yourself be the brightest that you can. Trust that it's all working out for you. Releasing regrets and things that you no longer need. Perhaps it was just the best that you could do in the time, in the moment. Yeah. And knowing that we are both self and other focused. We are both. There is no battle. We need each other. We're interdependent. We need to trust self. And so both of these things together, we can kind of stand above it all and say, oh, that's the way it works. And yeah, so we can ask for some support if we need it. And let the young person inside of you know you can trust me. I think that's really helpful too. The young person can say, oh, I have a future self and they're telling me you can trust me. I'm here with you. I'm not going anywhere. Right? That's a really good feeling to have for that young part of yourself. You can also look at your future self and say, she can or he can say, see, you trusted and here we are. We made it. So that's another way to play around with this as well. When you feel synchronicities, that's another way that you can trust that our thoughts become things, our vibrations go out, they resonate. And when we have things that time perfectly synchronized, we can trust that we're on the right path. More synchronicities you discover for yourself help to indicate that you are on the right path. So noticing those. Okay, I think that's what I would like to say today. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining in. Someone else wrote here, Mildred, thank you for writing. Feeling relaxed all around. Very good. Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, that's part of the cycle of life. We've got to have the relaxation so that we can create more life. Beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. I do appreciate you so much for being here. Send yourself some appreciation for joining in. This has been Move Into Coherence. I'm Pamela Stokes. Take it easy. And we're going to do our 3 bells, and then we'll see each other next time. And my belly is really busy right now. You might hear all that grumbling. That just means my peristalsis is working. I'm happy about that. All right. See you next time. Here's our 3 bells.